that the Lord has made. We will rejoice. And we will be glad. Hey. Say it again now. That the Lord has made. We will rejoice. Hey. Lift up your head, and we will be glad. Hey, yes. We lift our hands. Lift our voice. We give you all the praise. We lift our hands. And we lift our voice. We give you all the praise. This is the day. Oh my, that the Lord has made. We will rejoice. Come on, everybody. And we will be glad. We lift our hands. And we lift our voice. We give you all praise. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Lift our hands. And we lift our voice. We give you all the praise. Now we decree and declare right now that this is our season. And the Bible declares that this is the day the Lord has made. And we will rejoice. Come on, yes, we will now.
Yes, we will rejoice.
Yes, we will.
Yes, we will rejoice.
We will.
Yes, we will rejoice.
We will.
We will rejoice.
We will.
Yes, we will rejoice.
Oh, we will.
Yes, we will rejoice.
Oh, we will. We will. Oh, yeah. Say we will rejoice. Said you've been a good God on a bad day. Said I will rejoice. You've been so kind. Hey, Lord, I gotta tell you thank you. You've been good. No matter the trial and every situation, we will rejoice. And we will. Said you've been my protector. What a good God you are. We give you the glory, Jesus, and all the honor is to your name. Yes, we will, Lord. I'm gonna say thank you, Jesus, and hallelujah. We will rejoice.
Yeah.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Yeah, shout out to my guy, my brother Jeff Roberson up there, Long Island Gospel Sound. We rejoice. Today's kind of cool because we get to celebrate Juneteenth with one of our favorite people, Linda Shider. Be on in about a minute. Mark Lee also is going to join the panel full time today because they're going to really chop it up and get into why we think this day is important, why we must continue to celebrate this day. That's why I particularly chose that song and everything. So shout out to everybody. You guys can go back and watch watch this. And truth be told, I just want to say thank you to everybody for blasting those numbers in our shorts. We've been getting incredible numbers. A clip that Linda was on the other day got 1,300. You know, we've been getting 1,200. So the many clips that you guys are actually viewing on YouTube, we appreciate that. We actually got a congratulatory shout out from YouTube that thanked us for our content and those mini clips. So keep watching those. If that's what you want, we're going to give them to you. You know, and also today too, the second half of the show, we're going to get into why it is also equally as important to remember Tulsa, to also remember what happened in Florida and a lot of other places around the country when we were teetering on economic boom and success, you know, in the roaring 20s and 30s, as they say. And those things were taken away, you know, in a very, very harmful way that we have never, ever recovered from. So we got a lot to talk to you about today. Without further ado, Mark, I would like you to bring up our guest, our star child, our mom, our actor, our actress, our P-Funk legend, married to Gary Shider, Hall of Fame, you know, writer and all of those good things, Linda Shider. And please join us yourself, Mark Lee, podcast creator, producer, author. Wow, y'all got some letters behind your name. So welcome. As you see in the corner, we still got your slide for another week. All right, bro? Welcome, guys, to the show. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Hey,
How you doing in Kansas City? What's up, Linda?
everything's chill, Zach. I can't complain. The weather's lovely. No thunderstorms today. So greetings from Middle America.
There you go. There you go. Mark, how you doing today? I
I'm
kind of
doing
like
good.
that way, Mark. Put it back. I like that, the three across. That was nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that. Yeah, puts us all
that's
equal.
real cool. Yeah, everybody's on equal footing and everything like that. But yeah, I'm doing good. As I told you, yesterday was a very good milestone day. Got together with my brother and my two nephews, as well as my dad's girlfriend, and of course my brother's girlfriend and her two kids. So there's about 9 of us. We went to a Louisiana style restaurant and celebrated Dad's 85th birthday. So Dad turned 85 on yesterday. So June 20th is his birthday, and he hit the big 85. So it was good to have that camaraderie with Dad on that 85th birthday.
Blessings, yes.
Yo, man, that's what's up, man. I know you. I know he's proud of you for recently becoming a published author last year, and I tell everybody that, So I'm really proud. I know he was, man. I never actually met your dad, but his son is a reflection that he's an all right dude.
Yeah, definitely known here in the community. We're talking about Juneteenth, so he's an activist. That's actually where I got some of my activism genes from, with him, as well as my mom, who is still around at 83. Her birthday was back in May and everything. So actually, it was quite interesting. Last week they split duties. My dad and his lady love, because mom and dad have been divorced for years and everything like that. But they went, Dad went to the salute to the African drummer who had been here in this area, and that was over at the Hayti Center. And his lady love went to one of those Million Man, or not Million Man, but one of those protest marches. And she said it was packed over there in downtown Durham. She said there was thousands of people there. So that was part of her conversation during the dinner and everything. But ironically, and Linda, you find this interesting, she was literally in LA because she's a leadership coach. Linda, who's my dad's other half, is a leadership coach. So she was in LA, literally at the place where all of that stuff jumped off. So she just got out of the area just at that time.
Okay.
Interesting.
Wow.
So here we are on Juneteenth. And it was celebrated obviously Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Linda, first of all, out in that area of the country, did you feel or see, or was there a communal involvement in the Juneteenth celebration?
Not that I'm aware of. I didn't see anything about it on the news because, like I said, this is pretty Trumpy country. I was surprised that they showed up last week for the marches.
Right. Yeah.
I saw no mention of it. No.
Yeah. I remember you was telling me that you were happy and proud that a lot of people kind of stepped out on that limb. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that's and it was weird because I knew, but I forgot it was a federal holiday. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to get to the doctor, And I was like, why is it closed? And then I was like, oh, it's Juneteenth. I get it, So I think, when was it started, Mark? When did Juneteenth actually start? Tell us the history of it.
Yeah, I'll give you the history and everything like that. Ironically, it was started on June 19th, 1865. So it's been a holiday for a while. It was actually Biden that made it a federal holiday, and all along those lines. So he made it a federal holiday about 2021, if I'm remembering correctly, and everything. But it was definitely under the Biden administration that it became a federal holiday, and all along those lines. And it celebrates the June 19th is picked because that commemorates the end of slavery in the United States, because the holiday's name first used in the 1890s is a combination of the words June and 19th, referring to that date of June 19th, 1865. Right. So you want you to think about this. This is 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. So we'd already been declared free, but that's the day when Major General Gordon Granger ordered the final enforcement of the Emancipation Proclamation in Texas at the end of the American Civil War. So it was like 2.5 years after we'd already been free that this freedom came around. And you're not the only one, by the way, Zach, that was having that issue. I had a call from one of my friends, and it's a fellow podcast host that's in California, and they actually called me asking me that question. They were like, because they were noticing even in LA that they were not seeing a lot of people out in the streets, and they were trying to figure out why the traffic was so light and everything like that. So they called me up because they knew that I would probably know the answer to that. And they were like, is it a holiday? And I'm like, yeah, it is a federal holiday. So that's why there's really people in there, because they were not even aware.
Mark was, remember, for those 2 years, those people were still enslaved. The plantation owners refused to let the slaves go or let them become aware that they had been freed. Right. They kept them at their own devices.
Yeah.
You know what I find very strange, like that it was actually brought to light in a southern kind of westernly place. Why do you think like New York or DC back then even said, hey, wait, this has to be? Why did this? And this is true, I never understood this. Why did it have to come from Texas? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand.
I think it was the last place that was the last stronghold where they were still not letting the slaves know they had been freed.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Forced them to stop it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. See, I never knew the whole history, and that just goes to show how ignorant we are. I was ignorant to it. I shouldn't have been ignorant. They should have taught me this in school.
Of course.
But a lot of things that they should teach you in school, they don't teach in school. We've talked about that on this show several times and all along those lines. But I mean, think about it. When we think of the states that are very conservative and that have that kind of mindset, kind of to what Linda was talking about, Texas still has that mindset, just like Florida still has that mindset as well. So you've got a lot of states that are out there. Well, not a lot, but you definitely have at least 3 or 4 that are still very super conservative, and if they had their ways, they'd probably still have us in slavery.
Still don't.
And this doesn't denigrate all of Texas either, because I know Houston and all of them. Sonia enjoyed the funk convention, all of that. So where they are, it's cool. Where they are, it's cool. And Brian is a Cowboys fan, so if I said anything bad, he'd never come back on the show. Brian was supposed to be here today, but he sent his regards. My nephew, the minister. Right. And Jeff, the other minister I was going to invite on, he's actually taking care of some family stuff. But Brian told me to say thank you and hello, and he's actually doing a baptism. So, I had to tease him, and I said, oh, Casper here, you got So he's like, yeah, that's pseudo for the funk. Yeah, but he does send his regards, And also I invited a few other people, but they may pop in and out. But I think everybody's kind of out today, taking their family stuff. But it's cool because we get a chance to chop it up. Linda, I wanted to ask you, do you think that a lot of young people, even, and I'm not talking about the ones whose families make them go to church. I'm talking, or, events. I'm talking the average hip hop kid in the street. Do you think they care about Juneteenth? And I don't mean to be harsh, but I got to ask the question.
I don't think so. I think their priorities are very much more focused on video games and hanging out with their friends.
Yeah, I get that sense.
There's no kind of historical interest.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. I get that sense. Mark, what do you think? Why do you think that is?
Yeah, you got a lot of people that don't pay attention and aren't as culturally aware as certain folks are, and all along those lines. But then you've got others that are becoming more engaged and all in that kind of space and everything like that. So I do know you had asked about celebrations and everything like that. That I think starting at around an hour from now and going till 8, there will be one here in Durham, North Carolina. It'll be over by Central near the track, and Phyllis Coley, that runs the Spectacular magazine, has been doing that. They did it downtown for a number of years. They did it at other locations, but I think the last 2 or 3 years it's been down there at that lack of a better term, parking lot and everything. But they get all kinds of folks there. I think last year when I went, they had the Buffalo Soldiers there. They had some other
yeah.
there. They had,
I don't mean to cut you off, but you make a good point. The HBCUs are probably doing a lot of things from a historical point that Linda brought up. It would make sense then. Yeah, it would make sense because Mark and I both live about 10 minutes away from Central HBCU. So we're kind of in this area here. Yeah, and that does make sense, Mark. So that's good though, but it's sad that we had to watch last week and then we got this week. It's almost like that thing overshadowed what should have been a nationwide celebration, in my opinion. Like today should be like on Monday. That's when they should close it, the day after, whenever, and it should be recognized a holiday for all people because everybody benefited from Black people becoming free or being allowed back into or being included. Everybody benefits, So it's sad that we can't go back in time and fix that.
Yeah, well, one of the issues that happens with Juneteenth, and I don't know what Linda's thoughts are or your thoughts about it, is that because Juneteenth is on a specific day, then a lot of times you have the holiday fall on a day that is for the celebration, and then sometimes people are looking to the weekend. Because like I just said, the Juneteenth celebration here is actually on today, the 21st, and everything like that. So I do know that if the holiday falls in the middle of the week, then the celebrations aren't always on the actual day and everything. And that's for a number of holidays that are like.
Yeah, I agree. And thinking about it, like Linda said, now she's in a place, Kansas City, right? And we're going to get to this in the second half. They had a Black Wall Street,
Oh, I wanted to remind you of something that I just found out about this area I live in. The area is called Clay County. This is the hometown of Jesse and Frank James.
Wow, that's dope. All right. I like that.
Outlaws. They grew up in this area. This is their territory.
Wow.
They were serious Confederates, so you can imagine the tempo around here.
Oh,
wow. See, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's serious right there.
I was surprised.
The James gang.
I just didn't realize that they were like from here.
Yeah.
Distinct.
The James gang. Wow, that's pretty cool.
I do have a question for you, and it's a question.
Don't rob no banks.
It kind of came up with Kwanzaa. It kind of came up with, I think, Juneteenth as well, and a number of other things. But Linda and even you, Zach, how much do you feel part of the problem is the commercialization of these holidays and everything? A lot of people, there are Juneteenth sales and there are things along those lines. So even though it is a very important holiday and a holiday that we should be honoring, I'm even wondering if some of the events aren't geared more toward the kind of commercialization aspect of it. So maybe people are going to these celebrations and not even thinking about the context of the celebration.
That's very possible. And like I said, merchandising is it's key. 4th of July, there's always got to be fireworks. Valentine's Day, you have to do, the certain Valentine's Day things.
Cupid.
Juneteenth, I think they need to maybe step up the merching for it, T-shirts or something, something that people can relate to, because that's how you get the momentum.
Yeah. And that's why I hope that one day they say, listen, all holidays fall on this one doggone day, maybe with the exception of Christmas and Thanksgiving. But this all over the map stuff, the more people get live, they get involved, the times we live in, distractions, what have you, you know, like if it's going to be on the weekend or that week, it should, the thing day off should be that Monday. And then I think that's when people go like, oh, it's so and so day, like for, you know, like it's so and so day, you know, and President's Day. Why is that so important when technically for us it's like, okay, who else is going to be, you know, that falls on a Monday. So I think I'm starting a petition. I want this moved to the Monday, so everybody's off.
Everybody's off on Monday. I like that idea and everything.
Yeah.
And by the way, I just looked up because I was curious because I don't know a lot of the states and what they're doing and everything, but just since I knew that Linda was from Kansas City, and there's actually a whole committee called Juneteenth Kansas City, but even they are kind of fragmented because I'm looking at it looks like on May 31st of this year they had a Miss Juneteenth at Kansas City, so it was actually literally 3 weeks before the event, and then there was a cultural parade on June 7th, and on today they're having literally a heritage festival somewhere in Kansas City. But that sounds like a lot is fragmented and spread out, whereas it should be probably a unified celebration.
Yeah. And see, because you know, here's why. It took Stevie Wonder and every black person, people like Linda and everybody, protested to get Martin Luther King straight. And now that we got that straight, we all know when it is. Everybody knows that's the day. Okay, that's what we got to do for this. If it's that important, which it is, this got to be the same kind of vibe to it, kind of feel. Because on Martin Luther King Day, everybody, I don't care, drug dealers stop dealing drugs. It's like the country embraces that. Now I'm sure people still get high, but for the most part, people don't act up. They wait. Then you know, they're like, oh, Martin Luther King Day. You know what I'm saying? He gets his. So I want this to be that, because if it wasn't for this, there'd be no Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or Medgar Evers. You know what I mean? There'd be no Sly, no Gary Shider. There'd be no Funkadelic, George Clinton, and Bootsy. This was important. You know, this was important. So I just want to put that out there.
No, it's very important.
Yeah. And Linda, if I freeze up, this time I'll go in and out. You don't have to worry.
Yeah, it was very important and everything. I was actually just pulling up this article that somebody wrote that ironically came out of your neck of the woods. It looked like it came out of New York and all along those lines, Zach. But it had an interesting point, and I just want to read part of it. I'm not to read the whole thing, but it brings up the notion that we got to look, even when we have celebrations like this, at the kind of like the backlash. Because what the article says is Juneteenth represents the long-delayed freedom of enslaved black people in the United States. But Juneteenth isn't just a day to celebrate, and this gentleman says for him, it's a marker, a moment to remember what came right
Yes, it's got historical significance that should be recognized.
And it says because every time black people in the country have pushed forward toward freedom and justice, something has stepped up to push back. That pushback is the unfinished business of American democracy, and they argue that it's playing out right now. So after the Civil War, the promise of Reconstruction was real. Newly freed black people voted, ran for office, even won offices, built institutions, and claimed their rights. But the backlash was swift and violent. The Ku Klux Klan wasn't just a fringe group; it was an organized force, often aided by local power structures meant to terrorize black communities and preserve white supremacy. So, and they saying that Klan members and others didn't just attack in the streets; they infiltrated sheriff's office, courts, and local governments, and their ideology steeped into institutions designed to protect justice. So, a lot of that is what's going on now, and investigations have even revealed that hundreds of individuals affiliated with our current extremist groups like the Oath Keepers and the 3 Percenters have served in law enforcement or the military now. So it sounds like it's history repeating itself.
Do you think, Linda, that like how all cultures in this country may gravitate towards Memorial Day or July, do you think different cultures even know, like our Latino culture, our Asian culture, our white culture, our brothers and sisters that really are down with us, do you think they even care about Juneteenth?
I would imagine they really don't, because, you know, like Black history is almost being eliminated from public school history classes. So why would they want to emphasize something so historically significant that they're trying to ignore?
Yeah. I felt that kind of, it saddened me when I had to think about it like that, but I had to, you know.
But Zach, the counter to that is that if you put it in modern day kind of use and modern day kind of communication and everything, that a lot of it is similar. So while we got supposedly freed, or at least freer, on Juneteenth and all along those lines, they are now dealing with some Juneteenth-like situations. If you think about what's going on with ICE and what they're dealing with. So a lot of times when I talk to people about holidays that are in our community, I make parallels to why it's important to celebrate, because they are oftentimes those groups that you're talking about facing similar struggles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right though.
2,000 more troops to Los Angeles, even though the peaceful it's become very now, but they decided to send 2,000 more troops out there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Just to add fuel to the fire. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's and like I said again, this pops in the middle of this stuff, and it really makes you think. Like, Linda? What do you think? How do you think Martin Luther King or Malcolm X would react to us as a people treating each other so badly?
Well, Martin would be out there protesting.
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm would probably be on his soapbox, trying to get people to straighten up.
Yeah. And
I see them both dealing with it in different ways.
No, definitely. Hey, Zach, just in that same realm, and I think I told you this before, that maybe 10 years or a few years after his assassination, there was a book that Martin wrote called Chaos or Community. It was basically where we from now, chaos or community. And I had to write an essay in order to go to a journalism camp as a teenager, about the age of my nephews and everything. And I remember literally writing what King would be doing and all in that space. And I said that he would still be fighting against poverty. He would still be fighting against homelessness. He would still be fighting against the wage disparity and a number of other things. And the scary thing is that I wrote that in 1979, because I would have been a teenager in 1979, and that would have been like almost a decade after his death. And we're talking 2025, and I still think that he would still be dealing with those same issues several years later. So to answer your question that you asked, Linda, I feel that he would be frustrated, because he'd be going like, we haven't come as far as we should have.
Yeah, I agree. I think Malcolm
probably very disappointed in how little progress has been made.
Exactly.
With us, actually coming together as a race.
Yeah. See, and it's all we're. Yeah, I didn't hear what you said. What'd you say?
I said too many factions and too much disinterest in things better for each other.
Yeah, we're in a strange time, and with this current group of people trying to take everything away and erase history. That's why I figured this particular Juneteenth would have blown up, but it was overshadowed in a way. And like you said, Mark, I'm gonna try to make it down. Thanks for telling me that to that. So to put my number in just to show up over there, but I just feel like it's something like, reparations, Juneteenth, they'll never get it. And that's why I want to get into on the second half in a little bit about what happened in Tulsa, because I still feel those people should be getting reparations, man. I really do. That's just my personal opinion about it. Mark, you got a quick clip or a picture or something that you wanted to show?
I do have a clip. I don't know how quick it is, but it is a clip that's down there. We can break it down if it becomes too long and everything, but it explains what happened in Tulsa and all along those lines. So if you're ready.
Hold on to that one. Hold on to that. But I thought you had something for Juneteenth.
No, still working on that. I have pictures of some Juneteenth celebrations, and I can bring those up. So hold on one second.
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
Yes, hold on one second.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. You're watching from the front seat, 9 on the Grind TV. Linda Shider is in the house. Mark Lee's in the house. And we're reminiscing a little bit about the funk and Juneteenth and how we see it. Right. The funk has to have an opinion.
Always.
And shout out to, some people that had birthdays and transitions this week. Been kind of a rough week for some people. You know, so shout out to you guys. You know, love you guys. Appreciate you. Hi, Cindy. I know you there somewhere. If not, you'll see it later. It's been a minute since we actually talked about, you know, the country in such a way to where uh we bring up these things that happened that wiped us out. And I think today is a perfect day to do it. You know, the two go hand in hand, in my opinion. So, Marcus frozen back there. Yeah, he's frozen out. I'm sure he's working diligently to get the problem fixed, squared away. But while we got you, Linda, what you been working on that's new? You've been writing. I love those glasses, by the way. Yo, you crushing them shits.
Thank you. I can see. I can see.
You crushing them, yo. It looks good. I like that color. It looks good on you.
Like I said, my vision is getting bad, and I have to like put these on so I can like focus on things because everything is blurry. Until I put these on, I'm like, oh, I can see. I can see.
Yeah, believe me, I know. Without my glasses, I'm like Mr. Magoo. Especially at night. Forget it. You know, that's why I try to get a lot of stuff done during the day now. I get up a lot earlier, so I don't have to be doing a lot if I don't have to at night, you know. But yeah, it's been an interesting summer so far, you know. This guy is constantly like, you know, doing things that is not good for anybody. You know, the music game is doing what he does. R. Kelly down here in prison couple of weeks ago
and
ended up
to go too. It looks like his
yeah, but he ended up ODing, and they brought him over here to Duke Hospital.
Who did?
R. Kelly. He didn't die. He didn't die, but he's incarcerated here. So they brought him over. Yeah, that was news down here. You know. Yeah, something. So I pray for that brother. I mean, you know, so many people incarcerated, man. It's sad, you know. It's crazy, you know. That's why I be warning people, please stay out of trouble. Stay out of trouble, man. You know, because if you brown skin, they're coming for you.
Exactly.
Yep. I try my best to walk the line on no trouble for me.
I'm kind of glad I don't live in New York or LA right now because of how things are going.
Yeah.
People on the street, handcuffing them, taking them away, even American citizens.
Yeah.
Like say, if you don't have it on your body that you're an American, they're taking people to jail, right, left and right.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought that when that happened, I was like, well, if they're doing that to these important government officials, they definitely it's everybody's fair game.
Fair game, you better believe it.
And I think that's horrible.
Yeah,
that's absolutely horrible. You know, absolutely horrible. And see, I was talking to a lot of people this past week, and nobody agrees with this really. Only his small few, that 30%. Even on that side of the ledger, nobody wants that. Because they know it's going to be them. Because there aren't really a lot of black people that high or brown skinned people that high up. So if anybody is going to bear the brunt, it's going to be like, unfortunately, the couple that got killed. Unfortunately, we don't want to see that, white brothers and sisters, and because we have no power, so we're not worth the time. And that's the first thing I thought about. I said, what's the common denominator other than the Latino community that are getting detained or getting hurt behind this? And the common denominator was they're either government officials, local officials. They either are from, you know, a different background, you know, and it's just there's been a few black people, but not many. So this goes to show this dude don't care. He's gonna come after you, and I just pray, man, that we get out of this, man. I really do, because it's terrible. the couple that got shot in Minnesota was horrible. We were on the air. That was horrible. Brutal.
And
You back with us, bro?
Decided not to even.
I'm back. Had to switch to a different device because computer was trying to act up and everything like that.
Okay, so Linda was saying something. Hold on.
Yeah, Trump decided not to even bother to give any condolences to the governor of Minnesota about that incident. He said it wasn't worth his time, basically. That's how cold and unempathetic he is.
Yeah, he should have went there.
Something.
Barack would have went there.
Did nothing.
Yep, Barack would have went there.
That was because they were ignoring him. He got insulted. That's why he left the G7. It wasn't about Iran and Israel. He left because all his buddies, Putin and them, were giving him the cold shoulder.
Yeah.
And it freaked him out.
Yeah. It's sad, man. It's all we can do, like I say, is just keep moving forward and recognize the things that need to be recognized. Yo, Mark, you ready?
That's what I was saying. Is I'm actually still trying to get it on the other computer, and the computers are having a mind of their own. I don't think they like 100-degree weather.
Don't worry about it. Do you have it loaded up here on my side or no?
No, it's not loaded on your side. It's on this side. But the video for Tulsa is on your side. Anybody can play the video for Tulsa.
Yeah, we'll run that in a minute. But first, I want to just give a few shout-outs, have a few people pop in and say what they got to say. JTRP, P-Funk Radio. I love you guys over there. Gabe, Robin Circular P, at JTRP. We all praying for you, bro. I know you're doing some family stuff, whatever, And also Funkster Jones and Philly Phil. And now, David Webb. They're all on that P-Funk tree over there. So that's dope. P-Funk Radio, y'all be holding it down for us, man. Bootsy and Patty, of course. HJ Entertainment, Kane and Jams, Tony Cameron, Funk All-Stars, Nappy and Funk Army, Oak City Music Collective, Curtis Wilcox, George the Funk Vinci, and Aquarius Rising Art down here. Brooke Clagett, I'll see you at the Funketeers Ball. Otis and Donna, Afterglow 92416, Q&A Entertainment. Love you guys. Dr. Brookenstein, love you. DJ Cocolino. And also DJ Monica, thank you for playing our stuff overseas. We really appreciate you guys, man. You guys are great. So, all the people that are watching, you guys are going to go back and watch these little clips again. I want to let you know, give you a shout out. We had great numbers, 1,300, 1,200, 900, 1,100, and they're 2-minute clips. So, I guess we're putting out some content now that, people can grab, which is great. So we're keeping up with the times, which is great. So I'm happy, Linda Shider. When I saw your number, I was like, wow, that's 1,300 people. That was really cool.
Yes.
I was really, I was happy. And that's why I sent it to you and Mark. And I was like, yo, check this out. Because I don't watch that. I'm not on YouTube. So I have no idea. Once I'm done with this, I leave YouTube alone, Yeah, I really do. I didn't even know. So it was very cool to see that. And we appreciate that. So Mark, what you got set up for us? Nothing?
Still working on stuff on this side and all on this side.
I'll run it on this side then. I'm good. We're good. It's at the bottom, right?
It's at the bottom.
This is about 7 to 8 minutes. You guys sit back, relax. This is very, very important. When we come back on the other side, we're going to discuss this video clip, and we're going to discuss Tulsa as well as Florida, and we're going to try to do a deep dive with our guests Linda Shider and Mark Lee about why the psychological effect of this is still with us as Black people. So y'all hold on for a minute, sit back and enjoy.
It was a horrific time for our nation.
It's American history, it's Oklahoma history, it's the history of the city.
An event so terrible, many history books have shamefully left it out.
I was surprised to learn how much my kids did not know.
They're talking about the 1921 Tulsa Race Riot, or as many know it, the Tulsa Race Massacre.
This was our nation's worst race riot.
Michelle Brown is with the Greenwood Cultural Center. Her office sits on the very spot where nearly 40 acres of vibrant, prosperous property was was destroyed, and at least 300 innocent African Americans were senselessly killed. It's a repulsive, violent act that is still affecting lives today.
Having not received any type of reparations, just now being at a point where we are truly acknowledging this history, there's a lot of historical trauma that they are experiencing.
Dr. Carlos Hill teaches African and African American studies at the University of Oklahoma.
What had been one of the wealthiest communities, most educated communities, most peaceful communities in the country was destroyed in less than 18 hours.
The hatred overflowed on May 31st, 1921, after a young black man named Dick Rowland entered the Drexel building in downtown Tulsa and stepped aboard an elevator being operated by a white woman named Sarah Page.
Dick Rowland walks into the elevator, Sarah Page is there, the elevator door closes, there's a scream, the door opens again, and she runs out.
Within hours, Rowland had been accused of assault, even rape. He's arrested and placed in the city's jail. Newspapers in town begin to run their version of the story.
Newspapers in Tulsa begin to report an assault and even a rape.
As the story spread through the white neighborhoods, so did the anger.
And there's talk of a lynching, that Dick Rowland's going to be taken from the jail and lynched that night.
A small group of armed African American men go twice to speak with the sheriff, offering their support to help guard the city jail from the angry massing mob. The sheriff declines both times, but as the men are leaving the second time, a white person confronts the group.
And it tries to take away a gun from one of the men.
The African American men stand their ground.
And a melee ensues, the gun is fired, a white person is shot, and from that point, as we would say, all hell breaks loose.
The African American men retreat down the road to the Greenwood district.
And they are followed very closely by the white men.
Gunfire continues to be exchanged between the groups.
When daybreak came, there's an even larger group of whites that have sort of mobilized, and at daybreak they enter into the Greenwood district.
What was a neighborhood of intellect, family values, some of the most successful African Americans in the country, became a war zone.
Began to burn, loot, kill innocent people, bystanders.
African Americans caught in the violent racist attack were killed, their livelihoods wiped from the map.
Their community was destroyed, their homes were destroyed, their businesses were destroyed, their churches were destroyed, their schools were destroyed.
Since then, Tulsa has been left with a scar that is yet to heal, wounds that have caused distrust of city leaders and allowed for systemic racist policies to dictate the lives of African Americans in Tulsa.
So the way that they feel about the police, the way they feel about city officials, the way they feel about being citizens of Tulsa.
Michelle Brown says only in learning the full history of the Tulsa Race Massacre can one begin to see the pain it has caused Tulsans for a century.
When we realize and acknowledge the history, we understand some of what they are experiencing emotionally and mentally and even spiritually.
That's why having the knowledge and courage to educate Tulsa's youth about our history is critical.
For a lot of kids, when they think of topics like segregation, they think of the deep, deep South, and they don't really connect it to Oklahoma and Tulsa.
Shrita Ashley teaches history at Edison Preparatory School. She says educating students about the race massacre helps them self-reflect and grow as young adults.
It made it more real for them because they could connect to places they knew in town, parts of town that they had lived in the past or they live in currently, and understand why was there so much difference between different segments of Tulsa.
But having these conversations has proved difficult for many adults, even teachers.
They did not feel comfortable talking about this part of history in their classrooms. They didn't know how to discuss it and address it.
Brown saying many educators she's mentored lacked enough knowledge to facilitate meaningful conversations.
They did not know enough about it to be able to educate their students about it.
For Shrita Ashley, the educational process for teachers begins with self-awareness.
And be okay with accepting that you've done things wrong, and it's okay. You know, you're a person, you're a human, and you realize this hasn't been working, and it's okay to change that.
Saying it's important to be okay with being uncomfortable, knowing students have a safe place to learn, discuss, and express themselves about the terrible events during the Tulsa Race Massacre.
So I think by having kids exposed to teachers who can guide them and facilitate those types of discussions helps the kids see how to facilitate those discussions.
They need to be aware of and be able to understand sort of how this issue still impacts them, how it still impacts their community.
That they give students the freedom to respond as openly and honestly as they would like. Give them the opportunity to express themselves.
The hope is that by educating students about the Tulsa Race Massacre and the lasting effects still resonating in Tulsa today,
the biggest strides and the biggest changes are definitely going to come in having kids grow up and take in those positions of power. They become the teachers, they become the leaders.
that they can grow into more well-informed adults that can create positive, lasting change in Tulsa.
Most of these students, as history has shown us, will be here. They'll be leaders in our city, and they can see where these problems started, and they can figure out where to go from here.
Hoping one day the deadly racist attack will serve as a reminder of our evil past, but also highlight the qualities of African Americans who endured such terrible acts of violence and oppression.
It was an attempted expulsion that was unsuccessful, and I think probably the thing that Black people are most proud about in relationship to the Tulsa Race Riot or the massacre is the fact that the community was rebuilt.
That African Americans in Tulsa would not break to the pressure of racism and injustice.
It's a testament to the strength of the community. It's a testament to the high quality of the people who were adversely impacted by the race riot.
And the importance of learning about our history so the city can heal, ultimately making Tulsa a place everyone feels welcome, that everyone can be proud to call home.
It makes the society better. That's why we believe in public education, right? Because an educated public leads us to all have a better quality of life.
And so I think it's more than just the history of violence and destruction. It's also this really story about courage and persistence and resilience.
That's deep. That's deep. I don't even know how to wrap my mind around that.
I know. I never heard the part about the African American men actually fighting back. I always thought that the whites just went in there and just eliminated, just went crazy.
Yeah.
I never heard that they were like resisting.
Yeah, there was some pushback.
I didn't know. I didn't ever
yeah.
heard that part.
Yeah. And the one thing, and I was writing notes as she was as it was going, and the one thing that stuck out to me, two things actually, when she said it's okay to be uncomfortable, when she mentioned that, because I believe that's a bigger narrative for our country. And to even start the healing, we have to first acknowledge. And then, yes. And then also, when she said that.
Uh-oh, I lost you that.
Did we lose Zach?
Yeah, I lost him.
Okay, he'll probably be back and everything like that. And I don't know how much juice I've got. and everything. But just tell me, what did you think of that video and that notion of history being lost and all along those lines, and even sometimes our kids not even thinking about these serious things that happened in our community, whether that was that situation or whether that was Rosewood or whether that was the fire in Wilmington or a number of other things like that. So what is your take on how our education system is doing in terms of letting people be aware of these situations?
They're not making students aware of anything interesting in our history, anything that's kind of negative. And we all know that there was reality is there was a lot of negativity.
That was strange.
This country.
That was strange. I completely blacked out. Did y'all see what happened? Okay.
Yeah.
Yo, they have to be.
Yeah,
the whole thing
for a while there.
Yeah, it said program closed. I'm like, what? Yeah, they tried to get me, but it's okay. You can't stop the funk, sir knows. But what I was gonna say, the self-awareness part, I liked when she mentioned that, because I think as Afro, and you can give me your opinion, Linda, as Black people, we sometimes don't want to look at self-awareness because we've been hurt so bad. You know, what do you think?
It's essential that we remember things like that because we want to keep it from repeating. If nothing else, like I said, I look at Nazi Germany and how they used to go into Eastern Europe and just eliminate towns, just erase them from the whole area. It's not there anymore. The same thing they did with Rosewood in Florida. They eliminated that whole city because Black people were too comfortable there.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine just that, and then how they recovered, and some generations still continue to live there.
Well, Rosewood just disappeared from existence.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah. What year was that, Mark? Do you know what year Rosewood was?
It was 1923.
Oh, it was 1923.
That also happened in 21, and it was 2 years later that Rosewood.
Oh, it was 2 years. Right. Yeah, you mentioned that before. I forgot you had said that. Yeah. Wow.
2 years
That's
later.
crazy. And I know Indiana had a similar event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were several Black Wall Streets, including up there in your neck of the woods, or one of your favorite places, because people oftentimes forget that Central Park was a Black Wall Street. So that was an actual thriving Black community in Central Park in New York City. But a lot of times people are always thinking about the skating and the stuff that goes on around Christmas and other times of the year, and not realizing that vital part of New York was actually a Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
I was not aware.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah. I didn't know that either. I knew about parts of Harlem, but I didn't know about that part of Central Park.
Central Park. Yep, Central Park was a major Black Wall Street.
So right through Central Park.
Yeah.
Wow.
The heart of Central Park that people know was Black Wall Street.
Right. Do you think now that these things are obviously on the internet, and there are so many counter groups that say, "Oh, this didn't happen. Oh, this is not true. Oh, this is a lie," right? But then those same people, sometimes, not all, will turn around and be willing to send millions of dollars to a place they've never been around the world, and they don't even, and they acknowledge, oh, well, yeah, that's got to be true because, it's of a different culture. They don't even think like, well, if this ain't true, I can't believe that. But automatically they're like, no. Well, that's got to be true. And we know it to be true, but this is also true. You know what I mean? So I don't like the way that people pick and choose where we should send money, my tax dollars. I think we should have discussions on that. It's
They're
crazy,
starving
man.
in the Sudan. Nobody's interested in helping them out.
Yeah. I don't know. I pray we don't have any of that. I really don't want to see that. I don't know what Mark is doing now, but I got to take him off.
He's eliminating SNAP and food stamps and anything this healthy breakfast for children that don't have the money to pay for it. He's eliminating all those kind of programs, so we might eventually start seeing those kind of things.
Yeah,
This is a
unfortunately.
time in this country.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I'm curious to see how this next school cycle year is going to go after this summer, because I talked to a lot of teachers and they're like, listen, I had a Spanish teacher the other day and I was doing my Uber, driving him to the airport, we were talking. He had his daughter with him and so forth. And he was like, he said the resources are shrinked up. He personally told me, he said they have to buy stuff, surplus it, not use it because it becomes obsolete once they bought it. Like he said, there's a whole closet full, and I can't call the school and the gentleman's name in Durham, where there's nothing but brand new stuff, computers, tablets, all kinds of stuff. He said they buy it because if they don't buy it and spend that money, they'll get less the next year. He said, but the things that's being sold to them by our government is obsolete. It doesn't match up. So it's almost like a scam. We're selling. This is why our kids over here are having such a hard time sometimes in the inner cities, because the things that they're using is obsolete. It's not like the private schools. They got the best stuff. You know what I mean? And he told me this. He said, yeah, there's a closet full of stuff that they don't even use that's brand new still in the boxes. Because by the time they get it, it's obsolete. Yep. And yeah, now how sad is that? The government supplies you with something so you can keep getting that little bit of money, but it's not really the best stuff. You know what I mean? Like P-Funk, they put a 1 on it.
He's eliminated the Office of Education, so they probably won't be able to get much of anything.
Exactly. That's why I said, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, what's going to happen in the beginning of the school year? There's nobody to watch anything.
Nope. Amazing.
Homeschool your kids. Homeschool your kids. I'm serious.
That's definitely an idea.
That's where we at.
Exactly.
It worked. It seemed to work before. You know what I'm saying? The Mormons, they got it pretty good. They figured it out, So they like, nah, we don't want to be bothered with. We don't even want electricity. That's how deep they are. I love them. I do. I kid you not. Because when you go to like those places, the Amish country and everything,
yeah,
and then you like, yo, they just handling this. They don't want cars. They don't want to have anything to do with modern man.
Anything.
Good for you. Because you seem to be healthy and y'all are thriving. You know what I'm saying? And they got bank. Mad bank. So I think that's an option. We got to start looking at, Linda. We might have to do that.
I admire them personally. I really do. For them
Me
to
too.
hold fast with everything that goes on in the world around them that's anti anything that they're about, and they can hold their ground. I have to admire them for that.
Yeah, right. They holding it.
They are holding their ground.
I appreciate that.
That's exactly what you guys are doing out there in the world. We got this.
Yeah. Because I went there once and I got an apple pie, man. The pie was like that big.
Oh man, they have a place in Maryland where they come straight from their farms.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the selection of food is the bomb.
Yeah, it is.
It's up in Montgomery County.
Yeah. My friend, Kevin, he comes on sometimes. Him and his wife go there sometimes. And he tells me they go just to look at the scenery, and the breeze and get that thing. So that may be a road trip. Put that on the list. Amish country.
It's really cool to see them with their horse-drawn buggies on the highway and stuff.
Yep.
And
I think
moseying along.
That's right. Yep. Yep, clippity clop. Not in a hurry. You know, I think that's where we're headed, because I was watching a documentary about, you know, all these docs are out now. The government, I guess, is letting them out about these people that they have the gold and they're getting all this gold. And we was talking about this last week, and they're burying it in certain spots, right? But now you have some of their own people that's like looking for it to rob them. Yeah, because I guess they figure, well, it's been sitting in the ground for 20 years. I can use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, they just had a document about people who rob other people's gold in the Ozarks. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. And they were talking about, they interviewed one of the guys, and he had the mask and his thing, and he's like, well, listen, I have no money. And we chipped into all of this. And now one person is trying to control it all.
Control it.
Yeah, and he said, we can't live like that. He said, my farm needs this, and, you know, the kids need this and that. He said, we're not making money like people think on the farms, you know, because he's done some stuff and manipulated the market with that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and you know what else is funny? If you notice, quietly, they have stabilized gasoline, right? And my thing is, well, we're probably getting ready to go to war then, because usually they give us something good before they do something bad.
Well,
right?
he's definitely considering going in back into Israel of going against Iran. He's saying it's going to give him 2 weeks to make the decision whether he's going to send troops over there and stuff.
Yeah.
So they're bracing for it, and they're saying that gas prices are going up because of that. What's going on over there?
Yeah.
He's
See,
back up again.
yeah, that's what I mean, because that's why they're giving it to us now, because once they start that war, bang, the next day they're going to be sky high, because I've been noticing that. I was like, okay, something's getting ready to happen, because gas ain't supposed to be like where it is right now, you know. I never understood that anyway, because just tell us you're manipulating it. Don't act like you're doing me a favor. You know what I mean? Because Sheets got 5 cents off. No, it should be that cost anyway, you know, because it's the same gasoline we've been getting since the 1800s. You know, where we are now, man, every day's a movie, a Fellini movie. You know,
2016 and to 2016 to 2020. Every day something new, something crazier.
That's right.
You thought yesterday was bad, or watch what happened today. You know, that's going to give your mind, blow your mind.
Yeah.
Mind blowing every daggone day.
You have young ones around you. Do you kind of shield them from all of this nonsense?
These guys watch SpongeBob.
Good for them.
Thankfully, SpongeBob and Spider-Man.
Good for them. That's good, because they don't need to know.
They don't really want, they're not interested yet.
Yeah, good. That's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good thing for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
They're still trying to be kids.
Yeah. And I wanted to shout out Terry while it's on my mind, because I saw you guys were playing the other day. You know, Sandra Morgan, shout out Mama Sandy, sent me a clip. So Terry is feeling good, and I saw him sitting and playing in the video. So Terry, I'm happy for you. I'll see you soon, because I'll be up there soon to visit y'all. So I'm glad he's doing well. You know, so many people have made this comeback from this thing, you know, and it's good to see, you know, it's good to see. So I know a lot of the members of different organizations yesterday sent me things. So I want to shout them all out on my Facebook page, because I see you guys out there, and I know you guys, everybody's trying to hold it down in the funk community as best we can. You know, that's all we can do. You know, I'm praying that my goal is to like still see the old days, you know, where it's like every funk band ever existed in one spot, and at the Super Bowl. Damn it. Come on. Come on, Super Bowl committee.
Yeah.
Get with the program, you know? So Juneteenth, getting back to that, we rounded it off with what happened with the Black Wall Streets. We're hanging out with our special guest today, Linda Shider. Thank you for coming on. And here's something that we as Afro Americans need to focus on, which is our health. Okay, mental health and physical health. Try not to eat too much trans fatted stuff. Try to read your labels. Try to not ingest stuff that is processed as if you can, because you notice like affluent communities have Chipotle's, Chick-fil-A's, they got all the good fast food. You go in the poor communities or not as affluent, you'll see a Kentucky Fried Chicken, and inside a Kentucky Fried Chicken there'll be a Taco Bell. Now, that still bothers me, and I mentioned it a lot. You're giving people two choices of poison. So we need to recognize our health, especially our young people, because obesity, and this ain't a racial thing, obesity in young people across the country is through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Because get outside, make your kids go outside and play. Take their games with them, but they need to run around. If possible. Now, some neighborhoods you can, it's not safe. I get that.
The kids riding bikes, you don't see them, like even like this, they just don't seem to be interested in things like that anymore.
Yeah.
Electronics.
Yeah. We rode our bikes everywhere. That's how we got places.
Skateboards, you don't see them skateboarding too much. Maybe in LA.
Yeah.
New York possibly, but I don't see that, that kind of thing in this area going on.
Roller skating too. We would roller skate.
Don't see any of that either.
Yeah, I know they have one here, and I take young kids there back and forth sometimes, but they're tiny. They're not that big. Not like what we grew up with. It was like way over there. These are kind of small, and I noticed that the other day. I see more seniors and people in their 40s riding bikes than I do kids. Because now the kids got the electronic bikes. So they're not even doing no work. They do a couple of pedals, starts the engine, and then they're just like riding. Not great. I'm glad they're out, but like get out there, kids, have some fun. Do some stuff, walk, And also too, I think it's important that we acknowledge people that are in senior centers and places like that because they don't have connection to the outside. So if you're in the area, sometimes go volunteer, go spend an hour or two there. Let people know that you love them. And this way, in your own little way, in our own little ways, we can do little things to offset some of this evil and darkness, because I volunteer every now and then I help clean out a church every now and then, with my friend Andrew, and I don't ask for money, but I go there because that's my own little way, and I don't talk about this a lot of giving back, just to help people, because people need help.
Yeah, I used to do the food bank in DC.
Okay.
I enjoyed doing it too. It was nice and you meet some interesting people who care about other people for a change. It was nice doing those kind of things, and it made me feel good.
Yeah, you're right. Those little things add up. Those little things add up. So again, we appreciate everybody that's hanging out with us. Mark, you back with us, or you still he's still frozen? See, that's why I took him out. He's trying to get back in under a frozen alias.
No, I'm out.
Yeah, because I know what he's doing, and it's not his fault. I understand, because he was trying to load up something for me, but he tried to slide in frozen, and I was like, "No, you got to be moving, son." Mark's my dog, though, man. He and his dad just did turn 88, so God bless him. Because people don't know, Mark's parents had the first Black successful radio station in North Carolina. They were the owners. They ran the whole thing. So his mom and dad were Black Wall Street.
Okay.
And they were not censored. like so many others were. They were not censored. And Mark will come back and tell us the story, but he told me the story, and that's why he does what he does. That's his origin. So, people think that Mark just popped in. No, he's been from that. That's his DNA. He can't help it. That's why his voice sounds like that. I'm jealous. Yo, Linda, Kevin told me one time, he's like, Mark's got the best radio speaking voice ever. I was like, really? But I was joking in a jokingly kind of way. I was like, really? I was like, all right. I said, I'm gonna have him talk less.
Great speaking voice.
He does. Yeah, he got it. Whatever that gift is.
Yeah.
Because he sounds like he could just put you right to sleep, but you can still, it resonates. He has that resonating voice. Yeah, man, he really, really does. But we can't tell him we're saying good things about him. We can't. We won't tell. We won't tell him. I wanted to ask you, about a culture of people that are starting to speak their mind when it comes to, and I think it was maybe in your area. I saw something with the Native American people, and they were really upset about how they were trying to run this oil pipe through their sacred area.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, man, we forget about our Native American brothers and sisters sometimes, especially in where you are, and Tulsa too. A lot of those Black people and Native Americans were the same people.
Uh-huh.
Same in Florida, the Seminoles.
Yeah.
And so you're not mixed with Native American, are you? Didn't you tell me that once or no?
I have Blackfeet in our.
Yeah, you did tell me. Okay, I remember. You did tell me that. Yes, I remember that.
Durham, I think. Durham, North Carolina.
Yeah, you did tell me that. Yeah, I remember.
It's on.
Yeah. So what you got going on musically? What you been working on?
I've got Carrie's brother Kevin working on some stuff I sent him.
Okay.
I sent him a beat, and then I sent him a melody, so he's kind of trying to figure out something to put with it for me.
Awesome.
And my guys from my old band are putting together some stuff down there, once again in North Carolina.
Okay.
So we've been talking about maybe hooking up and putting some stuff out.
All right. That's what's up. I know you keep it on the quiet until the Q-tip, until it pops.
Until it's ready.
I got you. That'd be great.
I'm also trying to sell some of my children's stories too to some children's publishing companies. So I've been sending them out. So far I haven't gotten a bite, but I'm still looking.
Yeah, it's coming when it's supposed to come. Because
Exactly.
you do have some great stories. The photo of you and I holding up the comic book too as well is really, really cool. I cherish that photo. That was at the Funketeers Ball. That's a really good photo. That one goes on my wall whenever I get a frame for it.
Cool.
Yeah, for real. Okay, Mr. Freeze, you back?
Hey, your buddy Sir Nose was messing with me left and right. Because he was messing with me left and right. I'm sitting there going like, what the heck is Sir Nose doing today?
I told you they don't want us talking about this, bro.
They don't want you talking about it. But I did catch a little bit about what y'all were talking about the roller skating and the biking. And I agree. A lot of our young people are not into exercising. They're into that whole notion of their video games, and even the video games when they're out and about and everything like that. And nothing wrong with some video games and some of that activity. But yeah, I also remember riding a bike as a youngster, and even and I know you are from New York, and I know that Miss Linda has spent some time in DC. I remember the sandlot games of baseball, as well as the pickup basketball games, and even the sandlot football games as well. So you would get some folks together, and y'all would get out there, because I know in Warren County there was a baseball field. It was like in the middle of nowhere, and we'd get some sandlot games going and all along those lines. And definitely, I remember my neighbors had a couple of basketball courts, and you'd get those nicely pickup games going and everything like that. So there was a lot more of that kind of activity and all along those lines. I was glad to learn that there's a possibility, Zach, and I know that this isn't always bragging on our family members and everything, but he's trying out, and there's a possibility that my nephew, and maybe even both nephews, will be on the soccer team next year. So they're actually trying out, and they've been actually having some intense tryouts and all along those lines, because they were talking about how they got to do I never heard of this. Maybe you heard it because I know you did some training. But apparently they have to like run and then run again and then run one time. And when they get to one time, they got to jump and burp. So apparently burping is part of the training, which I did not know that was going to be, or belching. Belching is part of the training. But they have to do this. Yeah.
What?
What do they got to do?
They
What?
gotta like do the running that we used to do like from spot to spot. But I think on one of the ones that's either the fifth or the sixth one, they have to like jump up and get a good belch out and everything. So belching is part of the training.
I imagine maybe if they're running around playing soccer so much, you know, I don't know.
Right.
That's funny. I don't know what that's about. Maybe the wind.
Hey, soccer and belching, you know, what
Yeah. But I think they're trying to get something with the wind going. But that's my guess. But I'm not sure either.
And also maybe you run better on an empty stomach.
Possible.
Yeah. You know,
Like
I played football. I only ran in spurts. You know, and track. My coach never said belch.
I track in high school. I did track in high school too.
Right. They never told me back then.
Well, I did track in high school too, but as I told you, Zach, when I was doing track in high school, and I think I've mentioned this before when Linda's been a guest, we had one rule because my coach he was also our football coach and everything. So he would train you, he would run you and run you and run you. So he basically tried to run you to death because he would run you for miles on end. And if you survived, you were on the team. So that's what I was. I was not that great of a runner, and I was running middle distance, but I was a survivor. So that's how you made the team. You survived. If you survived, you made the team.
You know what's weird too? Like when you see, like back when we were all coming up, we telling our stories. We didn't need our parents to organize this stuff for us. We just did it. Right now, I think. And I get it, but parents that you see, okay, well, we're all gonna go here, or I thought about this, right? I was like, what did we do? How did we all know where to go and where to hang out? But it was like, I guess you heard about it in school, or somebody told you, or you were at a friend's house and said, hey, we going here, whatever. But now it's different. Kids they all need, like, we're all, you know, they got to be herded, and also. There was no supervision at the ballparks when we played.
No,
nobody got hurt. They got hurt. You took care of them. But now, so many places are worried about getting sued.
Oh yeah.
So now you gotta have permission. For real.
No, you're right about permission. That. I'm laughing because you're so right. Because there was no supervision.
There was nobody.
There was nobody there. It was just you playing with your folks and everything. And even those pickup games, because those pickup games can get real intense and everything.
They get hurt. Somebody was always going to get hurt.
Somebody's going to get hurt.
Somebody.
Well, I got two stories for you about that, Zach, that you'll enjoy, and Linda will enjoy it as well. I played a pickup game in volleyball, and I remember I thought I was Joe Badass, for lack of a better term. So I thought I was going to spike somebody. And I went up there and spiked, and I think I was playing against some Chicago and New York people, and you know how y'all folks are. They decided to undercut me. So when I went for the spike, they went underneath. So I literally went over them and very hard fall and everything. Because I remember I thought I was going to be Joe and Badass and just get that super spike. And they were like, nah, we ain't having that today. And they undercut me, and I remember having a harsh fall. Let's just put it that way.
I remember playing pickup. I fractured a kid's collarbone once. And he would run it off like this, yeah. Because we used to play tackle. It was rough. It had to be rough, right? And I hit him and crack, and he's like, Then he ran. Then I saw him in school. His arm was in a cast, right? And his name was Ronnie Hill. Rest his soul. I'll never forget it, right? And then he ended up, like, you know, getting my cousin pregnant and having a baby. So he's part of the family. But he says, I used to see him in our 20s, right? He said, yeah, man, I remember. I wouldn't want to hit you. He said, because you fractured my collarbone. I was like, yeah, I did, right? And once, you can't see it, I was playing basketball right up there, and a guy just turned around and just his head hit my eye, boom, gushed open. And I was at camp, a summer camp, right? And it was the craziest thing because, you know, I went to the hospital, got stitched up, and then that night I went out to a party.
You were at the party afterwards.
I went out to a party. I was like, I'm back, you know.
Got your stitches on?
When I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, the summer camps were only for white kids.
Oh, wow.
I never had that experience. And I used to ride my bike all over Columbus. And when we moved back last year, and I saw how it had grown, it's just like it's gotten very cosmopolitan now. high rises everywhere. It wasn't like that when I was a kid there. You know, it was like more of a sleepy kind of country town, you know?
Yeah.
Not
See, in
like
New
that.
York, we were lucky, man. We had camps, YMCA's, pools. You know, there was so much. That's why I think I was very lucky as a kid
Definitely.
because, you know, we had stuff to do in the summertime.
Mhm.
You know,
Y'all had Boy Scouts and 4-H too, right?
yeah, Boy Scouts, 4-H, summer camp. They had that other one, a program where they would take you up in the mountains for a couple of days,
Oh
you
wow.
know, and you hang out up there. Because I remember we went to Bear Mountain for 3 days,
Oh
you know,
wow.
as a kid. Yeah, you know, and that's one thing about New York, the progressive side of it. Because back then, again, nobody was snatching kids. Nobody wanted anybody else's kids. It was like you could stand on the corner all night and nobody would come and get you because nobody wanted your ass. Trust me, they got their own kids. They didn't want you.
Exactly. And it probably didn't matter which part of New York you were from. 'Cause as I just mentioned earlier when we started this
All
show,
night.
Linda,
Nobody
the
wants you.
leadership, Linda, the leadership coach, is actually from New York. So my dad's other half is from New York. I think that's part of what attracts him to her and everything. But she's one of those New York Jewish women, and all along those lines. But she is definitely a straight up New York lady, and they've been together for 25. Well, they got together in '98, so 27 years they've been together. They've been together for a long time and everything. But Zach, I got to teach you about something. The other way is y'all were talking about unity and how people knew stuff and all along those lines. I remember there was a convenience store. You know, even in the country town, you got those convenience stores and everything. Remember, you would run because when we were doing those running, we were running on the street. So we were running on the street level. And for some reason, I think one of those country stores was a mile and a half down the road. And we would all turn around and make sure that the coach wasn't watching us. And you would see half the track team go into the convenience store because they were sodas and their nabs and anything else to subsidize and get the energy to get the rest of the running and going and everything. It was like, because I remember, you know, I'm trying to be Mr. Good Guy and everything. I'm going like, wait a minute, where's half the track team going? Oh, they're going into the store.
Yeah, the good old days. Our kids didn't get that.
Nope.
I miss those days.
Uh-huh.
I do. Time goes by fast. So if you out there, remember, one day, you know, you ain't gonna be able to do the things you do. That's why the funk music keeps us alive. Thank goodness. It does. It's like that's the one thing, no matter where you were in the country, you can get that. Yeah, you can get, you know. So I'm so glad that it called me in because I was like, man, thank God. My tribe. I was just telling Mark here, it's a different kind of tribe, a vibe, you know, and it's just strange to be. Do you think, Linda, the elevation of video and technology and the digital age, like you said, you're working on your project, do you think that is actually helping push the narrative that funk is mainstream now?
Very possibly, because it's not really just like our music anymore. It's become the world's music.
Yeah.
There's no place you can go in this world. There's somebody does not relate to something P-funky.
That's right.
Some song they heard or they know about George Clinton, or they've heard something about the funk, and the curiosity makes them search it out.
Yeah. You know, in a lot of people's opinions, the P-Funk thing, which you're a big part of, is on the Mount Rushmore with the three others, whoever they may be. It has to be. It has to be. Has to be. There's no way that we can say, okay, whatever category or whatever, that has to be there. You know, because think about it. If that never existed, half the stuff wouldn't even exist that came after it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody stole something from it, you know, even though they got it from something else. But when you look at the big picture, you know, because we talk about this amongst ourselves all the time. Me, Tony, we get together, we say, yo, that's got to be on the Mount Rushmore of stuff. You know, it just has to be, you know, because look at it. It's a global commodity.
Yes, it is. Yes.
You know, and that's amazing unto itself. You know, in the Hall of Fame. So what else? There's nothing else that would have to validate it, you know. And the fact that you know a lot of the music is still being used and you know being played and recognized, and you know most of the good funk bands are playing some form of P-funk somewhere. I saw Monster Mike put out something with his band, and they were playing, I think, at a festival in Ohio last weekend, and it was live. But I was watching it, and it was so good to see, you know, because he backed up Bootsy and everything, and you know, and he was doing Reach for It. It's on YouTube, and it was great. I was like, yo, and I tapped him in. I was like, hey, Monster Mike, whatever, man, you know. So it's good to see that people are still, you know, grinding on the grind. I like that, man. Mark, you have any last words? We're going to give Linda the full screen. It's been a great show. Wow, we did like an hour and a half. You know, we were laughing. Yes, Mark. We gave you a compliment.
Great laughter, and even though I had the freezing moments and everything, but yeah, great show and great conversation. I did have a quick question for both you and Linda. That doesn't have anything to do with politics or with, for that matter, entertainment or fun. Because I know that, like me, you are a sports fan, and I think Linda is a sports fan as well. Who's winning on Sunday? Is it going to be Oklahoma or is it going to be Indiana? Now that we've gotten Game 7 and it will be coming this evening. I mean, not this evening, but tomorrow evening, and all along those lines. Taking Game 7.
You know what? You were breaking up so badly, Mark. I didn't even get much what you were asking. There's some kind of a reverb or something.
Oh yeah, he was asking about Indiana, Oklahoma.
Indiana and Oklahoma.
Oh, the basketball.
Oh, I don't know because my favorite team is not involved.
Same. That's why I gave up after the Knicks are out.
You know, my dudes are not in the mix.
Understood. I've heard some people say it's going to be Indiana. I've heard some people say it's going to be Oklahoma, but I have no clue either. It ought to be a good game. I just want a close game.
When is it?
Tomorrow night. Game 7. Tomorrow night.
That's Game 7? That's it.
Game 7. That's it.
Well, NBA. So what's the score? 3 games each or what?
3 each. It is 3-3.
So this is the one.
This is the one.
And where's it at? Is it Oklahoma, Indiana?
It's in Oklahoma.
It's in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Are they gonna win? They probably will win if it's at home. I mean, I don't care. Home. You know what? I do have an Oklahoma Kevin Durant jersey where he was originally. Yeah, I do, and I wore it on Juneteenth because I was commemorating Tulsa. So people like, why are you wearing that? They said, oh, you for the basketball? I was like, no, this is in response to Tulsa, Oklahoma. So that's So, but
maybe that's why they need.
I don't even care.
I was gonna say maybe that's why they need to win. Maybe that's why they need to win because they are in Oklahoma. That is part of the Tulsa legacy. So maybe that's why they need to win. It could be part of a Juneteenth celebration that they win on the last day of the weekend of Juneteenth weekend.
Hey, that would be fitting. I tell you what, you might be on to something there, Mr. Freeze. That's your new nickname now. Like Batman, Mr. Freeze. You might be on to something.
Yeah.
You know, we gave you a nice compliment when you was frozen, right?
What was that? Thank you. What was it?
We were talking about you. Your ears were burning?
Yeah, my ears were burning.
Yeah, we were talking about you. You have to go back and watch.
It was good stuff, though, Mark. It was good stuff.
It was good. That's right. It was very good. Yeah. We're going to give Linda the full screen. Thank you, Linda, for joining us. We had an hour and a half of fun. We appreciate you guys watching. Keep those numbers up on the shorts. They'll be up later on today. You guys can go back and watch this. And we do commemorate Juneteenth as well. Show respect to all of the other places that there were massacres in. And we know it was not all people, but it still affected us in such a way where psychologically we are not healed yet. So, we got a ways to go, So thank you. Appreciate everybody out there. Linda, the stage is yours, my dear.
Okay, well, we touched on a lot of things today. Juneteenth, especially in Rosewood and Tulsa. Those are some serious things that our country has kind of tried to put to the side and not acknowledge, because I guess it's embarrassing to see how intensely negative they were with Black people. for so many years and still kind of doing the same kind of things in different ways. Maybe not as violent or not as mass, but still giving us a hard time. And our kids need to know what's going on in the world and what has been done to their people over the years. They need to become aware and maybe get a little interested in history. Can't go wrong with that. Knowing what we've done and what we did wrong and what we did right, it's important. See you guys. Much love.
Thank you so much, man. You've been a great guest as always. Next week, we're going to be on Rewind because I am so tired for the month of June and I got a lot going on. So we're going to do some rewinds next week. Then after that, we'll be into July. So who knew? Here we are. Get those fireworks ready, Linda.
All right. Peace.
4th of July is coming. Peace, love, sweetie. Thank you. And
bye-bye.
Can't wait to hear your new music, your new project coming out. We'll have you back on real soon. And I will see you guys later. We're going to end the same way that we came in. For all the funky fans out there, we really appreciate you, Mark Lee. Thank you. You were great today. I'm glad, you got to be a major part of what we were talking about today. And everybody that's out there watching, man, we really, really appreciate you guys. And know that, we care. And we really do love you. So here's a shout out to Long Island Gospel Sound artist, Jeff Roberson.
Great is the Lord, for he is a great God, and he still performs miracles. Great and greatly to be praised. He is Lord, oh yes, and forever he will reign, oh yes. The Savior of the world, Redeemer of my soul, and forever we will sing. Our God is great. Our God is great. He can do miracles. He's so great. Our God is great. Our God is great. He can do miracles. He's so great. Oh, bless the Lord. Bless the Lord. And bless his holy name. He is the Lamb of God. So worthy of the praise. You're the Savior of the world, Redeemer, and forever we will sing. We're gonna sing. Our God is great. He can do miracles. Our God is great. Oh yeah. He can do miracles. Great is the Lord. Our God is great. Yes, he is. He can do miracles every day of the week. Our God is great. He can do miracles. Listen here, he's great. He's great. Oh, he's great. Say he's great. He's great. And he still does miracles. Miracles is great. He's great. Oh, he's great. Still does miracles. Say, our God is great. Still performs miracles. Hey, hey.
Y'all have a good one. Take care. Funk from the front seat. We out. 9 on the Grind TV. Peace.